So there's like a looting.
Yeah, it was very profitable for them.
Yeah.
All the way up to 2008.
This is my favorite part. So they're getting rich and they're looting, right? So you have the Titanic, it's a sinking ship, and they're like
drunk
grabbing the silverware and all that, right? But this is not sustainable. It cannot last forever. So ultimately, what happens?
So I don't know if you remember all the way up to 2008, the barrel oil was up to like $150.
Yeah.
That was until that point,
right?
When it allowed the Chavez government to do all kinds of stuff in the country.
Do the looting. So they're getting away with it because the economy globally is doing well.
Yeah.
They can print money. They can get away with it. But then there's
He was one of the that will go to the OPEC and tell the Arabs to increase the price of the barrel oil. The price of the barrel oil was like at $3 or $5. It was like super cheap.
Right.
And that allowed them to cut production and then increase. OPEC doesn't exist anymore. OPEC is like minuscule nowadays.
Yeah.
They don't produce anything. But because of him, they figure out, we can produce less and make all this money.
Right.
It raised the price of the oil, the barrel oil, up to $150.
So they're looting their own country and they're looting the global markets to the extent that they can, which was significant. But then in 2008, we have this massive crash, the global recession.
Yep. Everything crashed.
What happens?
Well, after that, then they don't have the dollars
to keep taking.
To keep people. So then they start limiting. So you get more inflation. They start raising the rates against the dollars. That means devaluing the Bolivar. They will do rates, I don't know, I think it was like every 6 months or whatever, change the rate to try and keep up with the parallel market.
And when you say rate, you mean Bolivar to dollar?
Bolivar to dollar,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It will cost, so I think it was like if it's $6, then it'll go to $16. I mean, it's 16 Bolivars per dollar. And then it will go to 36 Bolivars per dollar. And they will keep increasing it and limiting the amount that people have access to. So it went from $10,000 a year to $5,000 a year. And I remember, I think in 2014, you can only get like $200 a year with your credit cards to go and buy something like from another country.
Right.
And that ended. The whole thing ended because they ran out of dollars.
Right. So the whole thing collapses.
They killed the oil industry too. So they nationalized the oil industry. They nationalized the metallurgic industry. They nationalized everything.
Right.
But then you put ignorant people to work at these companies that were used to be private.
Right.
Oh no! All you gotta do is put on a red shirt, and then you can work for this company.
Right.
And then you kick out the engineers. Then
the smart people.
Exactly. The whole thing collapses.
Right.
And they're now not, and they stop producing, and that's why Venezuela doesn't produce any oil, like barely.
It's crazy.
And they have to import.
Right.
So.
It's really wild. So there's a lot of comparisons, I think, to what's happening in the United States. And I think also it's really interesting, we talk about like the hyperinflation, for example. Well, you tell me. So I run my mouth all the time talking about the comparisons. But you tell us, like, what comparisons do you see? And which of them, if any, like, are there things that alarm you? I'm alarmed by, like, Kamala Harris talking about potentially putting price controls in place.
Yes, I was going to say just then. That was a big mistake.
That happened, yeah.
It happened in Venezuela. They moved away from that because it was unsustainable too.
Right.
All it does is creates black markets. Mm-hmm. It creates a scarcity.
Yeah. Because
the producers don't want to produce this bottle of water at 50 cents because it doesn't cost them 50 cents. It costs them 70 cents to produce.
Right. And so they can't make any money.
And then what they do is because now they're producing less, they grab this bottle of water, the people grab this bottle of water, and then they went around and sold it for $1.
Right.
So then that creates scarcity and then creates this black market where the only way that you can buy food over there was off the black markets, and you'll have to pay pretty much international prices.
Right.
That happened a lot in where I used to live because we were next to the border.
Mm-hmm.
And people were doing that and sending the food and the medicine across because the prices that they set then, they were ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like they said this bottle of water to be sold at 2 cents.
Yeah.
And who's gonna that's for an example for medicine.
Right.
The prices were ridiculous and they were so low that they will grab the 2 cent ibuprofen box and sell it for like $15. The profit margins were huge, so people were grabbing that. The people were also complementing to the whole disaster by doing that, right?
Right.
It wasn't just the government.
Sure.
But people got to survive somehow.
I was going to say, you get to a point where you really like have to do what you have to do.
So they will send that across,
right?
Sell it overpriced, they'll make their money.
Yeah.
And the other thing with that was with gas.
Okay.
Gas was, since like forever that I remember, it was always like this fix. It was like a Bolivar 97 or something like that. It was like super low.
Yeah, 97 cents.
It was subsidized.
Okay.
The gas in Venezuela, because we were so rich and we had so much oil, it was always subsidized.
Okay.
That was one of the measures that Carlos Andres Perez in 91 or 92, when
90s.
Chavez did the coup, that triggered that also. Now I remember that coup.
Okay.
They call it El Caracazo because he decided to raise the price of gas by a little bit just to keep up, with what the price is supposed to be.
Sure. Okay.
You can't just inflate a currency and not
adjust
for the other stuff. So because of that, that's what El Caracazo happened, and that was a major revolt. Everybody in Caracas went out. I think that was before what was this? Can't remember. I think it was before the coup.
Okay.
And
it's sort of part of the timeline.
Yes, that's what led to the coup also.
Yeah.
That discontent for this president.
For a little bit of an adjustment.
Since forever, politicians are always, or were always, not anymore, afraid of raising the gas prices.
Okay.
Because it could trigger something like that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I think it was 2018, 2017 when they started doing prices up to, or they will have like two types of gas stations. One where it was international prices.
Okay.
Supposedly for foreigners, where they're coming with the cars, and that was after they opened up the borders. But so where they can come in and fill up their gas at like $1 per gallon.
Yeah.
And there was the other one for Venezuelans, which was super. So if the one was $1 per gallon, this one was like 5 cents per gallon.
Okay.
But you're limited to how much you can pump a week.
Okay.
It was a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Because people doing lines for 2 or 3 days.
So if you're wealthy and you can afford the foreign gas, I'm sure they probably look the other way and let you buy it. Yeah. But they're also, that's not for everybody.
Can do that, no.
Right.
You have people were doing like lines or queues in their cars waiting for 2 or 3 days at the gas station for the truck to come in and pump the gas.
Right.
So they can then pump and continue to live on with their lives.
So you've heard Bitcoin is the new gold rush by now. As world leaders on all sides have endorsed it as the future of money, and now you're looking to get started, we'll show you how. It's actually easier than you think. First, go to your nearest ByteFederal ATM and turn your cash to coin. ByteFederal has over 1,200 locations around the country with the highest daily limits. Go to our website, ByteFederal.com, to find the nearest ATM to you. Log in to any wallet, then create an account, deposit your US cash, and instantly convert it to Bitcoin. That's it. We are the only US manufacturer and operator in the Bitcoin ATM industry, and our US-based live customer service is second to none. Go on, give it a whirl, and don't get left behind. Click the link below.